Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Gothenburg, or Gothenburg as you would say in English of course, and we've got a beer that I'm really quite excited to try. So we're going to have a look at the Gothenburg Beer Week 2017 official beer. As we know, the one from Stigbergets last year is one of the best beers that Sweden has ever produced, and this year it's been brewed by Beerbliotek, who do some awesome stuff as well. So this one is called A Moment of Clarity. It comes in at 4.7%, a session IPA this one, and it should be really quite nice. The Gothenburg Beer Week of course is it's a kind of week-long festival if you like, with lots of different events like lectures and all of this kind of thing. So it's something that I really do need to go and check out at some point when I have the time to. And you know, they brew an official beer every year and it moves around a different brewery. As we know, Beerbliotek do some awesome stuff. This brewery are quite quirky because they never brew the same beer more than once. They do like to stick to their home brewing roots that way. A bit frustrating for me as a beer reviewer because I hear all of these different things that they're producing, but I can't get a hold of all of them to review for you. But everything I've tried from these guys has been pretty good actually, so definitely looking forward to their input to Gothenburg Beer Week. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the review as well. This beer actually was only released in Systembolaget yesterday. You'll be seeing the review on the 18th of March 2017, and the beer only became available yesterday on the 17th, so definitely looking forward to this one and I hope you guys enjoy it. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Beerbliotek before. I think this is my 5th or so review from these guys, so do check out the other ones. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you before, and that's constantly being expanded of course. And please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys. The support you give the channel is hugely appreciated of course, so don't hesitate to get in touch through the Facebook, Twitter, Untappd, whatever you want. It's always great to hear from you guys. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Beerbliotek then. So as I mentioned to you, Beerbliotek of course are based in Göteborg here in Sweden, Gothenburg as you would say in English, and they were founded back in 2013 by an international group of friends. So this was Adam Norman, who's from Australia, Richard Bull, who's a New Zealander, Anders Hedlund of course, who is a Swede, and Daryl Denecker, who is South African. So Adam and Richard actually ran Bar Doppio in Gothenburg, and Daryl and Anders were regular customers at the bar, and often they just used to start talking about beer. So one day they decided that they actually wanted to buy a brew kit and start brewing beer for themselves. So their brewery is in the old Klippan Sugar building, which is a nice old building and actually very, very close to the old Carnegie Brewery in Gothenburg. Quite a famous company actually if you go and talk about the history of beer in Sweden. But their brew kit comes from Brewfab in Scotland, and in their first year they produced 38 different varieties of beer. And like I said to you at the start of the video, all their beers are actually brewed in small batches, so this basically helps them stick to their home brewing roots. And of course this is why you see the little numbers on the can, the sort of batch numbers if you like. But they're very rarely brewing the same beer, so they have no fixed range, and they're always brewing brand new beers. If you keep an eye on their Facebook, you'll see they're producing new things every couple of weeks actually. For me as a beer reviewer, it can be a little bit frustrating because in Systembolaget you only get a certain selection of things, so Beerbliotek can be quite hard to keep up with, whereas if you go to Denmark or back to Scotland for example, it's actually a lot easier to get a lot of the different Beerbliotek beer. So that's one of the downsides to this of course, but for me from a personal perspective. But the ones I have tried, like I said, have been really quite good. But the idea behind Beerbliotek is that they basically wanted to brew a wide variety of beers so that their customers could always kind of learn something new about malts, hops, or various other things that you can add into the beer of course. So basically it's the same concept as a library but with beer, hence why they've used the name Beerbliotek. Bibliotek of course is the Swedish word for library, and of course that's just a word play on it. So yeah, a really interesting company. Like I said, they're always producing new things, and everything I've had from these guys has been really quite enjoyable. So if you want to start, Gothenburg is a very, very good beer city these days, so it's a very good place to go if you're visiting Sweden for the first time and you're a bit of a beer head like me. And there's a lot of different good breweries up there. I mean, there's Beerbliotek, Stigbergets, Bearded Rabbit, there's a whole host of things going on up there. So if you come to Sweden, I highly recommend that you go up to Gothenburg, somewhere that I still need to go and explore properly actually. But that's enough about the brewery just just now. As I said, you can check out all the links and stuff in the description below, but we will get on to tasting this beer now. So it says on the side here, when we were asked to brew the official GBG Beer Week beer for 2017, it was like suddenly understanding something, a moment of clarity. How could we go wrong? We are the only following in the footsteps of one of Sweden's best ever beers. Get in touch at beerbliotek.com. Like I said to you, last year's one was really damn awesome, so, and I'm sure Beerbliotek will be able to do something really nice with this, so I'm looking forward to it. Let me just bring up the camera and show you the artwork of this one very quickly before we open it up. Where's my cursor? There we are. As you can see, the artwork is very similar to the one that was on the Stigbergets beer. It is of course a beer brewed officially for a sort of festival there. You can see the Gothenburg city outline with the cranes and stuff and the bridge. Nicely presented beer, this one, and you can see this is the standard sort of thing for Beerbliotek on the bottom, a moment of clarity, and you can see it's batch number 181. So yeah, really nicely presented, but without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. So yeah, oh, you can smell the nice fruity character coming out of this one as you open up the can. It's gone a bit crazy as it comes out. A nice hazy IPA, of course, but yeah, that looks really, really nice. Really excited for this one. I have to admit, when I heard this beer was coming out, I was like, oh, I need to get this, and I did thankfully manage to get a can. I'm not sure how hard it is to actually get a hold of this beer, but as you can see, it's poured a nice, bright, yellowy, kind of orangey amber colour. It's more yellow than orange, I should say. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see there is a degree of transparency to it, but it is more opaque than anything else. There's a solid finger of a frothy white head on this one, and you can really smell some of these lovely tropical fruits coming out of this one just as you move it around, but a really lovely looking beer this. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Ooh, that's nice. It's really tropically. This one's got a lot of tropical fruit coming out of it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of mango in this one. There's a lot of passion fruit coming out of it as well. I do suspect that they've used some citra hop in here, maybe some mosaic as well. It does smell lovely. There's a little bit of an almost tangerine orange to this one. Yeah. I think there's Simcoe in here. They didn't actually say on the website what hops are in this one, so I'm guessing. But there's definitely passion fruit to this one. There's some mangoes in there as well. It's got a little bit of pineapple character coming out as well, actually. There's an interesting kind of pineapple note coming out of this one. You can smell a little bit. What really does make me think there's some citra in here is the mango notes that are coming out of this beer though. And there's a little bit, when you get to the back end of the beer, you can smell a little bit of like lychees or something, but it's the basic thing to take away from this beer though, is that it's a big sort of tropical fruit note that's coming off of this one. Passion fruit, pineapples, mango. As I say, I think there's a little bit of lychee and stuff in here too. You know, it's just a big fruit bowl, to be quite honest with you. It is just like that. There's a lot of different tropical fruits coming out of this one. It does smell really nice. Maybe, I don't know if there's like some guavas or something in there too. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy this one, but you know, as you would expect from Beerbliotek, when it comes to IPAs, there's a lot of nice fruity aromas in here. I think there's a little bit of an almost lemony citrus too, and as my nose adjusts to it, I'm starting to get a little bit of an almost tangerine note, but it's definitely more of a tropical smelling beer, this one. You can of course get a little bit of floral and slightly grassy character from the hops as well. And there's a little bit of a sort of, you can smell a little bit of a slightly bready and biscuity malt base to this one, but it smells really, really nice. Yeah, it's got a really interesting nose to it, this beer. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy that for yourself. It smells great. It really is a nice smelling beer, this. Yeah. Oh, I'm really excited for this one now, so let's get stuck into it then. So this one is a moment of clarity from Beerbliotek, the official GBG Beer Week beer of 2017, batch number 181 if you're a dedicated follower of Beerbliotek, 4.7% session IPA. Let's get stuck into this one. To Gothenburg Beer Week 2017, sorry, Skål. That's nice. That's a good beer. You know, it definitely, just on the first taste there, it definitely kind of, it is trying to be a slightly, what I think it's trying to go for is that it's trying to be a slightly more sessionable version of some of these New England IPAs. I don't know if this is the kind of first attempt that Beerbliotek have done of this style, but they've done it nicely. I'll tell you that right now, they have done it quite nicely. So if they're doing this in the future, more of the same please, this is good. Oh, yeah, that's really nice. It's got a really interesting malt base to it, this one. You can feel, it's got this sort of oaty, slightly grainy thing going on there. You can feel that sort of white bready character. It just kind of blankets the middle of your tongue there, and you can feel some of the sort of grainy dryness. It's got a little bit of an oaty flavour to it, like I was saying, but there is a little bit more of a, it's almost a teeny, like a little teeny bit toasted actually on the grainy front. You can just feel that little bit of graininess in the middle of your palate there, which is quite interesting actually. But there's a lot of hoppy character to this one. It's not too big in terms of IBUs. It is supposed to be an easy drinking one, hence why they've said it's a session IPA, of course. But it's nice, this beer. If you get the chance to try this, have a go at it. Yeah, that's a nice one. If, as I say, try this beer for yourself. The hops are interesting. It's got a good bit of floral character to it, this one. It's not really pine resiny for me. There's only a teeny little bit of that. For me it comes across as a bit more sort of spicy and floral, I would have to say. But there's a good bit of bitterness to this one. When you first take this beer in, it doesn't come across as all that bitter, but you can feel the bitterness actually building as your palate adjusts to this beer, and it's right on the edge of the tongue. So in the back corners of the palate I'm getting a little teeny bit of earthiness, but as you come further forward it gets more floral and slightly spicy, and you can feel there is almost just a little bit of pine resin character just kind of underpinning that. And as you progress further and further into the aftertaste, that sort of dry bitterness that this beer has starts to come out a little bit more. As you go round the front curve of your palate though, of course, it does get just that little bit more grassy and slightly citricy as well. But it has a nice balance with the malt base. The bitterness you're getting from the hoppy side of this one balances well with that slight graininess that you've got from the malt base that I was mentioning. But yeah, hoppy side of things is interesting too. It's actually a little bit more grapefruity. That's interesting because I wasn't really picking up grapefruits in the aroma of this one, but if you just go to that little oily bubble that you get behind the front curve of your tongue, you can feel that little bit of grapefruit base that this beer has. It's got this kind of, that dark flavour that you always associate with grapefruit. You can just feel that blanketing the kind of front part of your tongue there, and on top of that you're starting to get the lighter tropical notes out of this beer. It's not really orangey. I was picking up tangerines in the aroma, like I said, but I'm not getting so much of a kind of orangey citrus from this beer. But yeah, it's nice. There's definitely passion fruit in there. You can feel that little bit of slightly sweeter passion fruit coming off this one, but as you progress into the aftertaste, you start to get slightly different flavours coming out of this one. I'm not so much getting mango out of this, I have to admit. There's only a little bit of that. As I said, I thought there's maybe some citra in here. But this beer, the aroma is, the fruity aroma on this one is quite different to what you're getting out of the flavour. For me, the fruitiness, as I said, it's dominated on the palate by the grapefruit, and everything else kind of comes on top of that. There's passion fruit in there. As you move into the aftertaste, I think there's a little bit of pineapple maybe. You can get a little bit of pineapple just as the flavour starts to progress, but I'm also getting a little bit of like lychee and maybe even a little bit of gooseberry. Right behind the very front part of my tongue, I'm getting a little bit of gooseberry out of there, and it's those flavours that do make me think there is a little bit of citra in here, but I think it's maybe just dominated by the other hops, and I definitely was picking up the kind of telltale signs of citra in the aroma of the beer. So I'm just interested about that. It's always fun, as I say, to guess. When you don't know the hops that are in a beer, it is always fun to guess from the flavour profile that you pick up. But yeah, it's certainly quite a nice beer, this one. You know, in terms of the, I'm not sure if Beerbliotek were intending to go for the New England IPA thing, but it does have a lot of the same feel. The mouthfeel that this one has, the slightly almost, it's not quite creamy, but the very smooth mouthfeel that this beer has is reminiscent of the New England IPAs. It's almost just a bit like a slightly more sessionable version of the New England IPAs, which is quite interesting. It doesn't quite have the same oily character that some of the bigger ones do, so it's an interesting concept to try a slightly more sessionable New England style IPA, and I think they've done a good job with it. I have to admit that. This is quite a nice beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I'd love to try it on tap, and what I would say about this one as well is it's not very common in Sweden, but the old cask conditioning that we get back home in Scotland, I think this beer would be really interesting with that, because you might just get that little bit more sweet character from the malt base on this one, because as I said, this one, it has a little bit of the bready character, but the graininess does have a little bit of almost dry and slightly bitterish character to it, which is quite interesting. It adds a different dimension to the beer, and it does balance well with the hoppiness. But for me, this is an interesting concept of a beer, and and as I would expect with Beerbliotek, they've certainly done a nice job with this one. So thumbs up to these guys, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this beer again. In terms of recommending it, in terms of flavour profile, if you like a good grapefruity and big and sort of a big sort of spicy floral base, almost leaning towards pine resin, you know, this is one that you are going to enjoy. I guess if you're a fan of the old school kind of West Coast IPAs with these big grapefruity flavours, then you're certainly going to enjoy this one. It's a nice, light, very sessionable version of these beers, but it's got more of a New England style mouthfeel to it. So it's almost taken a bit of the kind of old school West Coast beers and combining it with this new kind of East Coast mouthfeel and things, and this big hazy IPA craze that's going on just now. So it's a very interesting beer to try, and I think it kind of reflects quite well the sort of beer trends that are going on just now when it comes to brewing a beer for a beer festival. I guess that's a fair point to go for. So they've done a nice job with this one, but like I say, I would expect that from Beerbliotek. So in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say it's mid-bodied. Yeah, I think that's fair to say with this one. It is mid-bodied. Carbonation is, you know, it's about right. It's a sort of somewhere between soft and kind of moderate on this one. You do just get a little bit of a prickle for it, but again, when it comes to this kind of New England style mouthfeel that's going around just now, it is a little bit smoother, so it's got a good bit of smoothness to it. There's a little bit of wetness to this one, because it's a session IPA rather than a kind of full IPA, if you like. It is going to be a little bit lighter, so the mouthfeel is a wee bit wetter with that smoothness than it is in comparison to oily. As I mentioned, the malt base to this one has a little bit of smoothness to it. There's not really a sweet character to this one. It has a little bit of that grainy dryness to it. There's a good bit of hoppy bitterness and a bit of fruity juicy character in there as well. But like I said, overall for me, this is a nice IPA. It does take a bit of the kind of West Coast flavour profile and combine it with this kind of New England style mouthfeel that's going around just now in a session IPA. So it's a very interesting concept, and like I said, I think Beerbliotek have done quite a nice job with this one. It's not going to blow your head in terms of IBUs or anything like that. This is just meant to be a really quite nice session beer, as you would guess from the name, a session IPA. So yeah, this has been a really nice beer to review for you. It's always cool to see breweries trying different things, and I think this is the first time I've tried a New England style, or a sort of one of the, if this is exactly what they're going for, of course, I think this is the first time I've tried one of these IPAs that leans towards the New England style from Beerbliotek, and it might actually be the first IPA I'm trying from them as well, if I'm not mistaken. But they've done a nice job with it, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So I would recommend that you have a go at this beer while you get the chance. So yeah, been really cool to review this one for you. A moment of clarity, I should say, from Beerbliotek up in Gothenburg for the GBG Beer Week Festival of 2017. A really nice beer, so definitely pick it up while you have the chance. So thank you once again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know your favourite beers from Beerbliotek. Of course, as I say, they've got a whole variety of different things, but it's been really cool to review this one for you. Thank you once again for watching. Do like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media, and I will catch you again very soon. You will be seeing more Beerbliotek reviews from me in the future. Until the next time, it's Slanger just now, and I will catch you very soon. For those of you that are going to GBG Beer Week, I'm very jealous of you, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Skål!